Alright, and here on our news it says Clarity Act update for XRP holders. Senator Lummis reveals what is holding the bill back, right? Now, what if the biggest obstacles standing between the digital asset market and long-awaited regulatory freedom isn't a complex crypto regulation issue, but a fierce political duel over congressional ethics rules? The market stands on the threshold of massive structural change, yet a high-stakes standoff on Capitol Hill is threatening to push the finish line back by years. Now, prominent market analyst BankXRP right here recently shed light on this crucial development, sharing a revealing Fox News interview with Senator Cynthia Lummis. The discussion highlights that after 11 months of intense negotiations, the crypto framework itself is practically settled, but the entire legislation is now held hostage by political disputes in Washington. So here is a breakdown of what is happening behind closed doors, why the countdown to August Senate recess is critical, and what this all means for XRP. So let's start with our very first question about why is an ethics debate holding back crypto regulation. The Digital Clarity Act was designed to deliver ambiguous legal definitions to the digital asset market, establishing clean boundaries between the SEC and CFTC while securing protections for software developers and stablecoin issuers. However, the current roadblock in Congress has nothing to do with market structure or token taxonomy. As highlighted by Senator Lummis in her interview, the core dispute revolves around a contested ethics provision. Certain lawmakers push for language that would allow state attorneys general to initiate lawsuits against elected federal officials under this clause. Senator Lummis and opposing senators firmly rejected this stance, pointing out that such broad authority would leave every member of the Senate, the head, and even federal judges exposed to hyper-partisan litigation from state-level prosecutors across the nation. While recent revisions of the draft included commitments where President Trump agreed to place digital asset holdings into a blind trust or divest from crypto-related commercial ventures, opposition lawmakers argue that these concessions fall short. Senator Lummis noted that the focus seems locked on exacting political penalties rather than establishing fair, lasting standards for all three branches of government. Now, here's my opinion. It is deeply concerning to see groundbreaking financial legislation stalled by unrelated political maneuvering. Market participants have spent years calling for regulatory clarity. To watch a comprehensive framework get derailed by partisans squabbling over ethics clauses feels like a disservice to the entire financial ecosystem. If lawmakers genuinely want to protect consumers and foster domestic innovation, they must separate political battles from market structure. Now, what happens if Congress misses the August recess deadline? Time is running out rapidly. Senate is scheduled to leave Washington for its annual summer recess in early August, creating an extremely tight window to bring the Clarity Act to a vote. If lawmakers fail to resolve the ethics dispute and bring the bill to the floor before recess, legislative momentum will vanish. Upon returning in the autumn, congressional focus will shift entirely to the November midterm election campaigns. In election cycles, controversial or stalled bills are routinely shelved to avoid risky floor votes. Senator Lummis previously warned that if this window closes without a vote, the delay in passing market structure rules could drag out as far as 2030. Now, here's my opinion. The August deadline represents a critical juncture for the digital assets this 2026. The market hates uncertainty, and pushing a settled regulatory framework down the road toward 2030 would be a massive setback. The momentum gathered over nearly a year of hard-fought negotiations cannot easily be recreated once lawmakers pivot to full-scale campaign mode. Now, how does Clarity Act directly benefit XRP holders? For XRP, the passage of the Clarity Act is a monumental catalyst. It's a monumental catalyst. The legislation officially enshrines the SEC-CFTC regulatory taxonomy into federal law, giving digital assets precise legal classifications that remove years of lingering ambiguity. XRP's classification as a commodity would be codified permanently under federal statute, ensuring that no future administrative changes or regulatory overreach could easily undo its status. Eliminating this legal shadow is the primary requirement for large-scale institutional adoption, with clear federal laws or federal rules. So, institutional asset managers gain the regulatory green light to deploy capital into XRP-backed products. Global exchanges and liquidity providers can expand trading pairs and financial infrastructure with complete confidence. Enterprise cross-border payment integration can accelerate without the drag of compliance hesitation. Now, here's my opinion. I view the Clarity Act as the missing piece of the puzzle for XRP. The asset has already proven its utility and resilience, but institutional capital operates under strict risk models. Codifying its commodity status into federal law removes the final layer of hesitancy for institutional allocators, potentially opening up unprecedented liquidity and utility-driven demand. And finally, here's our overall conclusion. The Digital Clarity Act has crossed nearly every technical and regulatory hurdle over 11 months of rigorous crafting. So the core provisions governing asset classification, developer safeguards, and exchange oversight are fully aligned. Yet, as market analyst BankXRP here highlighted, the entire legislation hangs in the balance due to political disputes over ethics language ahead of the August recess. So for XRP holders in the broader market, the next few days in the Senate are pivotal. Resolving this standoff before Congress breaks for summer could unleash an era of institutional expansion, whereas further delays leave the market navigating unnecessary policy fog. Alright, in this finally ends our video. Thank you very much for watching and see you on the next one, where you might just as well check this next recommended video right here.